I have been here in this job for the last 8 years now, little over 8 years. And during these last 8 years, I have been to a number of our provinces, especially in provinces where formation work is going on, where we have a number of educational institutions. My experience in this field has been very positive, in the sense that, as we all are aware, we still have a good number of formality in our society. Surely there is what is generally observed as the decline in numbers when it comes to vocations, but still we still have about 1,200 formality in the different stages of formation, novitiate and novitiate onwards. And also we can see that a lot of activities are going on in this area of formation. We have nearly 300 formates worldwide in the society, over 100 formation communities. So we can see that it is an important area for work. As regards education, is also a very good number of conferences are involved in the work of education at various levels, primary, secondary and tertiary. The only difference in comparison to formation is that our educational institutions are concentrated in certain areas. For instance, in the ASPAC zone, we have the highest number of schools and universities and other institutions. Naturally, a good percentage of our conferences are involved in the work of education in ASPAC zone. Also, similarly, in Panam zone, we have, especially in Latin America, we have a number of schools and other institutions. Also in the Aftam zone, we have some schools, some institutions, but of late in Europe, we have only a few conferences involved directly in the work of education. That is more or less the general scene with regard to these two areas of our activity as a religious missionary congregation. Now, if you want to speak about these two fields in the context of the theme of the general chapter, intercultural life and mission, I think in both these fields, this theme has a very special relevance. Obviously in the field of formation, because we are forming our formality to be missionaries in a multicultural setup. So this has been already part of our consciousness for quite some time now, because we have missionaries going from one zone to another, a good number of missionaries going out of their own countries and provinces to work in other places, involving in other cultural areas and so on. Therefore, this has always been part of our consciousness, our formation ethos, you know. So when we want to form our men to be missionaries in a multicultural world, I believe that the kind of reflections that we carry out as part of the general chapter will have a special relevance for the area of formation. Similarly, also education. We have work of education in many countries and many cultures. And one of the positive values that we can pass on to our students in schools and universities is this idea of the world becoming increasingly multicultural and the need to build bridges across cultures. And this message can be passed on to our students because we also have a certain background of working and being formed in a multicultural setting. But if you ask me what are the major challenges that we might face in these two areas in the coming years, with regard to formation, the moment I think about formation, the challenge that I become immediately aware of is the decline in the number of vocations. We traditionally, our society was strong in Europe, for instance. Many of the European countries gave us a lot of missionaries in the past, obviously, because we know that the congregation itself was founded in Europe, in Germany and Holland. So a lot of early missionaries came from there. Later on, we had a very good presence in countries like Poland and Austria and so on. But we see that the numbers are coming down. Of course, it is partly, this decline in numbers in Europe is partly offset by the increase in the number of vocations in the Asian countries. In the ASPAC zone, we have had a very good, a very high number of vocations in Indonesia, for instance. And it still continues to be one of our strongholds as it were. Similarly, in India, in the Philippines, in Vietnam, for instance, we are is one of the provinces where we are having a very good response from young people wanting to join us. So several other countries in India's ASPAC zone, we have a good number of places. But even there, it is now increasingly noticed that the Philippines, for instance, which was at one time very high, which gave us very high number of vocations, the decline is very clearly visible now. Similar is the case with India. At least those areas where we used to have a number of vocations, we now have fewer and fewer. Although in comparison, some other new areas are supplying us vocations. So, if you ask me, this one decline in numbers I see as a major challenge. Then, of course, the challenge also, the whole question of a good number of our young missionaries are now opting for countries outside their own cultural setting. They are going to maybe another country, another continent. So this kind of formation to become more effective as intercultural missionaries is something that we need to take more seriously into consideration in our formation work. Yeah, when it comes to the area of education, I think one of our efforts in future should be to plan our personnel well in advance so that our institutions, educational institutions, our universities, our research institutes and so on get a steady flow of personnel, confreres who work in these institutions and who keep up the tradition or great tradition of these institutions.